Hello everyone, my name is Clantus and welcome to the Clan. So without further ado, let's get into this video. But before we get into the video, I just want to say welcome to the new clan members. Thank you so much for considering us, and like I said, you are now a member of the clan, and thank you so much. And secondly, while you're at it, please make sure that you smash the like button and you watch the ads, because that statistics in my YouTube studio is showing that you're not watching the ads. And I've made sure that the ads do not irritate you as much as YouTube would want me to irritate you with them. So I don't want to. It's moderate. They come once in a blue moon as opposed to every now and again. I want you to focus on the content as well as be able to follow the content. Other than that, guys, with this administration aside, let's get into today's video. Unfortunately, I'm going to be reading from my script so that it is quicker. Why? Because it is now. Let me show you what time I've started this. This is the time right there at the bottom. Do you see what time it is? It is 9:31 p.m. That's what the time it is right now. So that is why I feel like if I go through the script, it's going to be quicker, and I'll also not go off tangent. So let's start with what transpired in court today. I am so glad. Okay, let me just put it, because I have it in my script. Let me say it. Dear goodness, Gininda has concluded his lies. His testimony in the trial within the trial of the Mngomezulu murder trial in the North Gauteng High Court this afternoon. I have never seen a person who talks so much and thinks that he is dropping gems when he in fact isn't saying anything, yet his lips are moving. Where have you seen such a person in your life? And would you believe them when they answer your yes or no type of question? You just ask a question which needed a yes or a no, but no, Gininda wants to take you on a trip. So he will not answer a yes or no question, but instead he chooses to speak gibberish. Thank goodness we no longer have to have his voice in this trial again. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad. I've never been so happy to see a witness leave the stand. So we are still in a trial within a trial where Judge Rata will have to decide whether on the balance of probabilities, does he admit or dismiss the alleged confessions that accused number 1 and accused number 2 allegedly made immediately after they were arrested in 2020. We've witnessed police after police after police after police and more police taking the stand and testifying on a script that was cooked somewhere. And we've seen how this script was bringing in new evidence, basically throwing off the defense. And the defense will be like, but we got those documents this morning. We need an adjournment so that we can go over these documents and then consult with our clients. It was a mess. Many a times, some witnesses would even forget the script and point fingers at other colleagues of theirs. And some even bravely point a finger or two at Gininda, to a point where now the court was being misled about the intelligence, the classified documents, so that the defense did not get what they wanted. And this particular judge will be like, yeah, classified information, what. And then I have never heard once where one of the witnesses tell this court that a process to classify this information took place. If there's a certificate that is handed over, where's that certificate of classification of these particular documents? But the judge decided not to ask for those questions. But I think at some point they realized that I don't think these documents are classified at all, because suddenly we were seeing things happening where he will change his mind about a statement or another, including a statement of a dead man. And by the way, that statement, I believe, was part of the classified document. This was to avoid crucial information for the defense to be able to conduct a fair trial for their clients. Little did we know that mothership was about to land in Gininda. Oh boy. If you remember very well, back in the day when Gininda started, I think late last year, he was weighing heavy on my spirit. He was weighing heavy on my shoulders. He was just not, the omen was not right. And I knew that in January, when the year begins, because every January, for the first 3 days, I go on a fast, a 3-day fast. I don't eat, I don't drink water, I don't put anything in my mouth for 3 days and 3 nights. And then in those 3 days, I am praying, I am meditating. And part of my meditation and prayer this year was about me withstanding Gininda's spirits. I was like, please, can I withstand this man's spirits so that I'm able to follow this tribe properly? So then I continue to say Gininda was going to talk the stand and literally annoy a lot of South Africans with his winding speeches. I must say that my prayer and my meditation did work because I could withstand Gininda. But what I was not prepared for was, I know last year when he took the stand that this man talks. And whenever he talks, you're like, what is he talking about? There was a question that was posed to you. Answer it yes or no. Or there is such a provision. Where is that provision? Take us there and do not take us into a criminal law lecture 101 because that's not what you were asked. And then he speaks a lot textbook gibberish more than he is supposed to talk about the practical things that he does on the field. So I continue to say, thank goodness that no one believed him. Okay, there are a fan club of his that I suspect he pays to say the things that they do on social media in defending him and not wanting justice for Senzo Meyiwa, but they pretend to want justice for Senzo Meyiwa. Very interesting. Even Rata at some point has had enough of him, meaning Gininda, because it was all over his facial expressions. Now and again, you will see Rata so angry. Last week, he was fuming when he looked at Gininda. I believe that the reason why Rata wanted to know if Gininda knew Orlando East. Once again, Gininda, instead of him answering yes or no, he goes on and on about a simple question. I think Rata wanted to see if indeed this man, what sort of a liar is he dealing with? And then if there's no dumpster anywhere in Orlando East or Orlando West, or there are broken ATMs somewhere in Soweto, then he would know that, yeah, definitely this guy is a pathological liar. He believes his own lies. They've become the truth. So I saw the Rata's facial expressions like, I see what I'm dealing here with. This man is a liar. I think the reason Rata asked is because he wanted to confirm what sort of a liar he just had in his courtroom. I think the judge has his answer, liar of note, though he did not say it out loud. Instead, he told Advocate Mngomezulu that the question that he posed to Gininda about Orlando East is immaterial. So just to touch on important things that transpired in court today, I'm just going to touch on the most important ones. I think it's 2 of them. The first one was when Advocate Mshololo asked Gininda regarding medical attention for accused number 1 and 2 if they offered it to them before taking their statements. Of course, you know what Gininda did. Advocate Mshololo put it to Gininda that the doctor would have been a neutral person to examine accused number 1 and to confirm if there were any complaints of assault made by accused number 1. Advocate Mshololo decided to elaborate on what she meant about neutrality, being that the doctor was not part of the police if accused number 1 was taken to the doctor. She continued to say that the doctor would have recorded the J88 and recorded if there were any injuries visible or old, and also any complaints that was made to the doctor. So you could tell Gininda was a little bit irritated by that question because he knew how he blundered on that one. So this is what I noted. I said you could tell how Gininda was irritated by that question and resorted to basically patronizing Advocate Mshololo about about prescription of the law not providing anything about police taking a suspect to the doctor for medical examination just to make sure that the suspect is taken in without any violations. This is how Gininda responded to the question of Advocate Mshololo. I think one needs to, this is Gininda now, I think one needs to look at the requirements of making a confession, and that it must be made freely, voluntarily, without any undue influence. Nowhere does it say that the person must be taken to a district surgeon as a requirement. I know that the other police, perhaps they want to do that practice. It varies from person to person. Mind you guys, this is being said by a senior police officer. Not just senior. In general language, he is known as a general. But they call him a brigadier because I don't know why. I say in my note, people, this is senior police officer saying this. Mind you, the way he's so passionate about this case, he saw fit not to do due diligence on the suspect by making sure that this case is not jeopardized in any way. Hence, he should have taken the suspects to a doctor for medical examination. What was he afraid of? Was my question. I don't believe that in this inconsistency he uttered about it depends from person to person. Like, this is inconsistency. Do they take suspects to a doctor who are willing to make a confession just to make sure that that confession is not coerced, that it is freely, voluntarily, as well as undue influence, and also the constitutional rights observed, etc. and so on. But not Gininda. He's not interested in that. Gininda continues to say, but insofar as the requirement, you need to satisfy yourself that this person before you is willing to make this confession freely, voluntarily, and without any undue influence, and understands his constitutional rights. And in my mind, I was like, that sounds so textbook. So textbook. What about on the field, sir? Do you do what the textbook has guided you to say or to do? Honestly. Anyway, he continues to say, I was satisfied with that when I referred to Colonel Mboto. When I referred him to Colonel Mboto. I do not think there is a provision that says he must be taken to a medical doctor after or before the confession is taken. Wow. All he had to say to Advocate Mshololo, this is my notes now, all he had to say to Advocate Mshololo was, no, there's no need to. Leave it at that so that Advocate Mshololo takes it to arguments. Rather than going this winding road and taking us through a textbook definition of what this supposed... Oh, my goodness. Gininda was simply obfuscating from the magistrate court's recordings where accused number 1 and 2 had actually made a complaint. Actually, it was accused number 1 and I think in 3 in those recordings. I could be wrong. Please correct me. A complaint was being assaulted by the police officers. This complaint was not only made at Boksburg by accused number 2 and also by accused number 3 in that magistrate court. And the magistrate made a ruling about that. They should get assistance with IPID. Gininda is running away from that allegation and decided to gaslight the Boksburg magistrate court's ruling. Accused number 1 and accused number 2 did not only end there with the assault allegations being tubed and tortured in the Boksburg court, but to the investigating officer whom at the later stage was he lied, no, that such a thing did not happen, he's lying through his teeth, it's a lie. And yet a complaint was laid with the investigating officer about being tubed, tortured, and assaulted. And also with Magistrate Cronier, whom we believe told senior prosecutor who assigned her to Ndanzi's confession. I think it was a Mrs. Duplessis or something like that. What was done about all these confessions? Nothing. I mean, the complaints. Nothing was done. And Gininda is running away from that these accused did make complaints to the Boksburg Magistrates Court as well as Cronje with Ndanzi. Now, Gininda wants this trial court who heard these recordings that the confessions were done freely, voluntarily, and without any undue influence, and that their constitutional rights were respected. Right. All that Gininda had to do was to take the suspect to a doctor so that he is satisfied that indeed no kind of assault that took place. Because at the end of the day, Gininda knows that the police, sometimes they do assault their suspects. They do force them to make confessions. I mean, at one point, Yena Gininda, whom at the end, Advocate Mshololo, I think she was planting a seed of doubt about his credibility when she asked him about any finding in his career that he was found wanting, basically. And of course, Advocate Baloy stood up and objected, and Advocate Mshololo left it alone. And I thought that was a very smart move from Advocate Mshololo, because it planted a seed of discreditation on Gininda the whole time that he was on the stand, because a high court once found that he tortures people to make confessions. So for a person who was a ruling of a court has done that to him, he should follow due diligence. If he really believes that these are the right people that killed Senzo Mewa, he ought to have made sure that he does not have a Rondeville Kretcher moment again, ever in his career. But no, he doesn't do it because he's smart. Not. So I do make that note, actually. I say Gininda knows that police officers do assault people. So if he really wanted justice for Senzo Mewa, his due diligence would have extended taking the suspects to a doctor before they made their alleged confession, period. Advocate Mshololo then touched on the suspects being read their constitutional rights. Every time an action had to be taken which involves a suspect or accused making a confession, their constitutional rights to remain silent ought to have been read to them. So meaning that every time they are going to interview a suspect or an accused, they need to read them their rights so that the accused or the suspect is aware of their constitutional rights, and that if they continue voluntarily and freely and without any undue influence, they do make that confession, that any word that they say will be held against them in the court of law. They need to understand that. But no, please, I beg you, I'm begging you, do not ask me to read what Gininda responded on this question, because once again, he took us on a winding road. At the end of the day, he still, the text that you're supposed to follow said, no, sir, you're wrong. Every time you interview a suspect or an accused, you need to read them their constitutional rights, which are in section 35(1)(a), B, C, italic 1, italic 2, as well as D, and in fact, the entirety of section 35. Read it out to them. But no, Gininda says that is not necessary as long as, that document is a pro forma and a statement. That's all that matters. And I'm like, it's clear that our police do as they please on the field. I noticed when Gininda was patronizing Advocate Mshololo by explaining away what they do on the field, I saw Rata giggling. I'm not quite sure whether he was giggling at the patronization or he was laughing at what rubbish is this man talking about, because it's there in the law. So this is what I say about Rata's giggling. I think Rata laughed or giggled because Gininda was only reading the part that suited him, but did not want to continue to the second sentence, which disputes his version of the provision that they have to read the rights of a suspect so they are aware of the consequences of their words. To me, this said police in this country do as they please. They do not follow due diligence. They pick and choose what to do. This is why I believe that the majority of our police force don't know how to recite these constitutional rights enshrined in Section 35, 1A, B, italic 1, italic 2, C, D, and I go on and say the entire Section 35. Why? Because to them, this is too much work and too much stuff to remember. All they're interested in is getting the suspect into a van and without reading them their rights, which kind of like makes me wonder how many people that are serving sentences in this country, whether it's hefty or light sentence, they were arrested but their rights were never read to them. I continue to say Gininda did not want to admit that the law requires them to read the suspect's constitutional rights every time they interview a suspect. So that every time also includes whenever they pause and then they're about to ask another question, they need to say, listen, I'm going to ask you the next question. Again, I'm going to remind you of your rights or your constitutional rights to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have a right to an attorney, blah, 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 blah. And then when they concluded that segment and they go to another segment of the confession, again, they need to read them their rights so that the suspect always has it in their mind that I voluntarily, I also freely, without any undue influence, did I make that confession. But Gininda says rubbish. And yet the law says you're wrong. As for Judge Rata, hearing this from Gininda, he has no choice but not to admit these alleged confessions. Case closed. So then I continue to say that I think once we return to the main trial, that trial as well needs to close because the DNA, I still say the DNA was the main factor because you had 3 eyewitnesses that took the stand and 3 eyewitnesses on the stand in the main trial said that one of the intruders was wearing a hat, and that hat, they had it in the house and it was taken for forensics, and the DNA came back and said none of the 5 men that stand accused of killing Senzo Meyiwa were in the Khumalo house on the 26th of October 2014. Case closed. So basically in my conclusion, I say it is time that the National Prosecuting Authority did the right thing by issuing warrants of arrest for everyone who was with Senzo Meyiwa on that fateful night. One of them pulled the trigger that killed Senzo Meyiwa. So basically, that is what I believe happened today in court when they were wrapping up Gininda's testimony, or lies, whichever way you want to call it. I call it lies. Nothing that he said was tangible. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. He told the court nothing. And yet he believed that he was assisting the court with his winding speeches. Honestly speaking, he must never run for president because the country would just die of boredom. Just dead with boredom. There was a question that was, in fact, there were 2 questions that were asked of me. Let me address the first one about Longwe Twala. The question was, do I believe that Longwe Twala is missing? I said, no, I don't think he's missing. I think everybody knows where he is. I think his father knows where he is. Do I think he's a junkie? Perhaps a recovering junkie, but I don't believe the pictures that we saw last year circulating on social media, they were authentic. I think that was a PR stunt to convince the public that look how he is, and if he disappears, now you know why he can't be found. I think they know where he is. Remember, this is the same man that came to Kelly Khumalo and offered her a holiday when Senzo Meyiwa's body was getting cold in the slab at the hospital in Vosloorus. So now why wouldn't he tell his son, listen, I will protect you, get yourself right. Probably he's somewhere in Dubai, or maybe in a country that South Africa does not have an extradition treaty with. We don't know. Me, my conscience or my instincts tell me that that picture was a PR stunt to convince us that he's a hobo living under a bridge and begging money or whatever the case is. I think he's well and he knows what's going on. And they don't want to make the mistake of releasing him from wherever he may be hiding. Then the second question that I was asked was about Advocate Mngomezulu and the accusations that have been leveled against him and a possible arrest and prosecution for whatever it is that he's accused of. And I did say in one of the videos that I'm not going to touch on this issue. I don't want to even talk about this issue for my own reasons. As a matter of fact, I am currently looking for Advocate Mngomezulu's contact numbers because I would like to have him on one of my Saturday lives so that we can just talk about things. I don't want to talk about the trial within a trial. I don't want to talk about the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial either. I just want us to have a relaxed conversation, get to know who the man is and why he decided to move from driving trucks and went to law school and actually became the advocate that we know today. That is what I'm interested in. However, though, once the case has been concluded, the trial within a trial, as well as the main trial, I would love to have him back this time around, have a sit down with him, and then we go through what really happened in the Senzo Meyiwa murder. What is it that was going on in the background that maybe he may be aware of and all of that. I'm still not going to touch the issue that the MPA is after because we know why the MPA is after him. Come on, it was long overdue. If you're looking for evidence, look where Tefu is. That's it. Look where Tefu is. So for me, I just want to have a relaxed conversation on a Saturday afternoon together with the clan. If the clan who has questions, please, when you do ask questions, don't ask questions regarding the case. Whether the trial within a trial or the main trial, don't ask those questions because I'm not going to pose that questions to him. And if you call in, I'm going to cut you off. So Advocate Mngomezulu, if you ever watch my channel, I'm looking for your contact numbers humbly. I would like to have a nice conversation, relaxed conversation with you on a Saturday afternoon. I do go live on Saturdays. I'm starting this Saturday in the new year. And any of the Saturdays that you feel free, please let me know. I don't know how you're going to get my contacts, but please indicate maybe, yeah, okay, I don't know how we're going to do this. Oh, I know who I'm going to contact. I know who I'm going to contact. Please do provide your numbers to him. I will highly appreciate it. So please let me know if you would like to see Advocate Mngomezulu on one of the lives, and I will open the lines, of course, for you to call in and have a conversation with him. Please, let's be respectful. Let's also be relevant with the questions about whatever we are talking about. Let's not talk about the case. So please write in the comment section if you would like to see that. If you also want to see a sit down with him after the case has settled down. Well, that is it with my thoughts and views about what transpired today in the North Gauteng High Court in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. We still want to know who killed Senzo Meyiwa. We have an idea who may have killed Senzo Meyiwa. And the MPA need to issue warrants of arrests and then get these people lined up in the dock and so that one of them tells the truth. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not leave without liking, without subscribing, and clicking the bell notification so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Also, do not leave without watching the ads too. See, there's an ad that's gonna come after me. Please watch it. It's 2 of them. I'll highly appreciate it. See you next time. Goodbye.